The space station, known as Argon 6, floated silently near the edge of a dying star system. Built for deep space research, it was cold, metallic, and far from Earth. Few humans worked here, and even fewer stayed long. Jack Halden was the newest. A rival. A 25-year-old engineer from Earth, he had bright eyes, curious hands, and a habit of asking too many questions. He was sent to Argon 6 for a 6-month maintenance contract. The job was simple: fix power systems, monitor life, support and avoid trouble. But trouble had a name here. It was called Cell 9. On his first day, Commander Rusk, a tall and serious alien officer, gave Jack the tour. "Everything's off-limits past Corridor C," Rusk warned, "especially Cell 9. Jack raised an eyebrow. "What's in Cell 9? Face stayed blank. "A creature. Dangerous. Do not go near it. Do not speak to it. That is an order." Jack nodded. But in his heart, curiosity had already begun to grow. For the next few days, Jack worked hard. He repaired broken panels, cleaned cooling vents, and fixed oxygen filters. The crew was quiet. No one talked much. Most were aliens, cold-skinned, logical, focused only on tasks. Jack often felt like the only human on a ship built without feelings, but each night his mind returned to one place, Cell 9. Finally, on the 6th day, Jack decided to take a look. Just a look. He walked past Corridor C when no one was around. The hall became darker, quieter. Strange symbols lined the walls. At the end, he found a thick metal door, glowing with red warning lights. A small window was set into the center of the door. Jack stepped closer and peered inside. At first, he saw only shadows. Then from the corner, a figure moved. She was sitting, knees pulled to her chest, metal bands around her arms and legs. Her skin was deep gray with silver patterns running across. It liked living circuits. Her eyes, strange, glowing blue, locked onto Jack's. He froze. She didn't roar. She didn't attack. Dared. Jack stared back. Why is she here? Jack asked Rusk the next morning. "I told you to stay away," Rusk said, his voice flat. "I just looked. She wasn't doing anything. She just sat there." Rusk sighed. "She's called Virelli, the last of a weapon species. Built for war. Biosynthetic. Half machine, half living matter. She was captured after destroying 3 ships. We study her now." She looked ... sad. Rusk turned sharply. "She is a beast. Do not think otherwise. That thing is not like us." But Jack wasn't sure. The next night, Jack returned. He stood outside the window and gently knocked. The creature Virelli looked up. She didn't move, didn't speak. "Hi," Jack said, his voice soft. "I'm Jack." She blinked once. Silence. Jack smiled awkwardly. "You probably don't understand me. That's okay. I'll just talk." He told her about Earth, about green trees and blue skies, about how he used to fix bicycles before ships, about how he liked music but couldn't sing, about how lonely. This place felt. Virelli didn't answer, but she listened. Her head tilted slightly. Her eyes followed his hands as he spoke. He stayed for 20 minutes, then walked away. The next night, he returned again, and again the night after. Slowly, things changed. Virelli began to move closer to the glass. She would sit just 5 feet away, still silent but clearly watching. Jack told her stories, funny ones, sad ones, small ones, about human life. He brought a small radio one night and played soft piano music through the wall. She closed her eyes, listening carefully. Jack smiled. "She's not a monster," he whispered to himself. "She's someone." One day, while repairing a pipe near Corridor C, Jack ran into an alien scientist named Drinix. "You spend too?" "Much time near Cell 9," Drinix said coldly. "She's not dangerous," Jack replied. "She listens. She understands." Drinix laughed. "Humans, is always trying to find beauty in beasts. It will get you killed." Jack looked at him. "Maybe you're just afraid of what you don't understand."
That night, Jack returned once.
More, this time. Varelli was already at the window. He pressed his hand gently to the glass. Slowly she lifted hers and placed it on the other side. Jack felt a strange warmth in his chest. "I don't think you're a monster," he said quietly. "I think you're just alone." For the first time, Varelli spoke. Her voice was smooth, quiet, with a metallic echo. ... Alone. Smiled, eyes wide. "You understand me?" She gave a single nod. From that day, everything was different. Since that first word, Jack felt something change not only in Varelli, but in himself. The creature who had been called a beast had spoken. One word alone, but it carried weight. It wasn't just a sound, it was a feeling, a truth. From that night, Varelli began to respond more, slowly, carefully. She never used full sentences. But her eyes were always on Jack, and her voice came in short, thoughtful words. Jack started bringing small objects to show her through the glass. A photo of Earth's moon, a piece of chocolate in a sealed packet, a book with pictures of oceans, animals, flowers. She stared at everything with quiet wonder. "This is a tree," Jack said one evening, showing her a bright green image. "They grow tall and strong, and birds live in them. Ever seen one?" Shh. Blinked slowly. "No, they're beautiful," he said. "Like the sky after rain." She tilted her head, then repeated softly, "Sky, ... rain, ... Her voice was strange, half machine, half soft breath, but it was gentle. Jack smiled. "You're learning fast." But not everyone was happy. Commander Rusk had noticed the increased power readings near. Cell 9. Security systems showed longer periods of energy around the viewing window. It meant someone was staying too long, watching. He checked the logs and saw Jack's name, "Halden," he said sharply during the next morning's rotation. "You are spending too much time near the subject." "She's not a subject. She is a prisoner," Rusk interrupted. "Do not forget that thing destroyed 3 patrol ships. She is not your friend." Jack stood straight. "I don't believe she wants to hurt anyone, not anymore." "You believe," Rusk said coldly, "because you are human. You see emotions where there are none. Do not let your feelings blind you." But Jack had seen something real. A spark in Varelli's eyes, a trace of sorrow, a whisper of something more. He kept visiting her. One night, Jack brought a piece of chalk and drew on the metal floor in front of her cell. He drew a simple house, a sun, and a small stick figure with wild hair. "That's me," he smiled. "Terrible drawing, I know." Varelli watched in silence. Then she looked down, reached into a crack in the wall, and used a sharp claw to scratch something on the floor of her own side. It was messy, but it looked like a large creature tall, with glowing eyes holding hands with a small figure. Jack leaned closer. "Is that me?" Varelli nodded. Jack laughed softly. "You drew us," looked at him for a long moment. "Friends? What's so small, so simple, yet so powerful?" Jack's chest tightened. He hadn't heard that word in weeks, maybe months. "Yeah," he whispered, "friends." News of Jack's actions spread through the station. Some crew members began whispering behind his back. "The human's gone soft." One said, "He'll get himself killed." Another said, "He's trying to teach it to talk. It's a war machine, not a student." Jack ignored them. He sat by the window and talked to Varelli, brought her new words, played soft music, and read short stories aloud. Sometimes, she repeated the lines in her soft voice. It was like teaching a child who had already seen too much pain. One night, as Jack read a story about a lost traveler finding his way home, Varelli stopped him. "Home?" she asked. Jack looked up. "You had a home once?" "Oh." She was silent for a long time. Then she said, "Made, not born. Made for war. No sky, no name." Jack's heart sank. "You never had a name?" She shook her head. Jack closed the book and looked at her gently. "Then you should have one." She looked at him with curiosity. He thought for a moment. "What about Rhea?" It's an old name from Earth Stories. "A guardian, strong kind." "Rhea," she repeated. It sounded different in her voice, almost like music from a forgotten place. She nodded the next day. Jack skipped breakfast and ran straight to cell 9. She was waiting. "Morning, Rhea," he said. The corner of her mouth twitched not. Quite a smile, but close. He held up another picture from his book, this time of a beach, waves rolling across the sand. "Ever seen this?" he asked. She looked carefully. "Want to see?" Jack paused. "Maybe one day," he said quietly. "Maybe I'll take you there." Suddenly alarms rang across the station. Red lights flashed. Doors locked. Jack rushed to the nearest terminal. A message blinked on the screen. "Unidentified fleet approaching. Unknown origin. Level 3, alert." His heart pounded. He turned back to the screen. Could it be related to Rhea? Back near her cell, soldiers rushed in with weapons. "Energy rifles, shields, stay back." One of them shouted at Jack. "What's happening?" Jack asked. "The fleet. It's from her creators," said one officer. "They're here for her, and they don't want her rescued." Jack looked at Rhea still inside her glass cell, calm, unmoving. But her eyes were on Jack. He didn't need words to understand what she was thinking. They were coming for her. Not to save her, but to erase her forever. The station shook as distant rumbles echoed through the metal walls. Lights flickered. Red sirens flashed in every hallway. Jack Halden stood frozen outside cell 9, eyes wide with fear, were once known. As Virilis sat still behind the reinforced glass, her blue eyes fixed on him. She didn't speak. She didn't panic. But something in her expression had changed. "She knew they're here for her," Jack whispered. Soldiers rushed past him. Heavy boots, barked orders, energy weapons charged with soft humming sounds. One of the officers stopped in front of Jack. "You? Leave this area immediately." "She hasn't done anything," Jack protested. "Why are you bringing weapons?" The officer didn't answer. He simply raised his shield and moved forward. More followed. Jack looked back at Rhea. She hadn't moved, but her eyes were glowing brighter now. Not in anger, but in readiness. Jack placed his hand on the glass. "Don't be afraid," he whispered. Rhea tilted her head. "Not afraid." "Ready?" Later in the control room, Commander Rusk watched the enemy fleet on the long screen. Dozens of strange black ships floated silently at the edge of the system. They didn't send messages. They didn't answer hails. "They're not here to talk," Rusk said. "They're here to wipe her out." Drinix, the alien scientist, stood beside him. "We should hand her over." Rusk frowned. "Would that stop them?" "No," Drinix said. "But maybe they'll destroy only her, not us." Rusk's eyes narrowed. "Or maybe they'll destroy all of us after they get what they want." Jack wasn't allowed into the main control room. But he didn't need to hear orders to understand the danger. He saw it on every face he passed. Fear, confusion, cold decisions being made. He returned to cell 9 that night. This time, he brought a small device, a translator. Chip hand, pressed it against the glass. It blinked green. "You can understand." "Me more clearly now," Jack said. Rhea nodded once. "I could always understand." Jack smiled a little, surprised. "Even when you didn't speak, I listened, learned, watched." He sat down on the floor beside the glass. "Why do they want you gone?" Rhea was silent for a moment. Then she said, "They built me, and others like me, to fight, to kill. We were not given choices." Jack listened carefully. "When the war ended," she continued, "they destroyed my kind. I escaped. I wanted something different." "You wanted freedom," Jack said. Rhea looked down. "They fear what they made, because I am proof of what they did." Jack clenched his fists. "That's not fair. You didn't ask to be made this way." "No," she said softly. "I didn't." He looked into her eyes. "And they never gave you a name?" She shook her head. "I was only Unit 7K. Until you." Jack placed his hand on the glass again. "You are Rhea now. That's who you are. Not a number. Not a weapon. Not a beast." Rhea's eyes glowed gently. The next day, security doubled near cell 9. 2 guards stood by the door at all times. Energy rifles charged and ready. No one was allowed close, but Jack had an idea. In the old engineering bay, found something. A forgotten floor plan of the station. A small ventilation tunnel passed above the cell blocks. It was narrow and unused, but just wide enough for a human to crawl through. He waited until nightfall, with a flashlight and a toolkit. Jack climbed into the vents and crawled silently. Through the narrow space, dust clung to his hands, sweat rolled down his back. But he didn't stop. He reached a panel directly above cell 9, through the vent grate. He saw Rhea, below, sitting calmly as always. He tapped twice. She looked up and tilted her head. Jack whispered, "I'm going to get you out." Rhea stood slowly. "Why?" Jack took a deep breath. "Because you deserve more than a cage. You deserve to live, to be free. And if they come for you, I'm not going to let them take you." She didn't speak for a long moment. Then, with quiet strength, she said, "You believe in me?" Jack nodded. "I do." In the control room, Rusk received a final message. One word, sent in an alien language: surrender. The countdown began. 12 hours before the enemy ships entered full attack range, Commander. Rusk called an emergency meeting. "We give her to them," Drinnick said again. Rusk turned to the crew. "Or we prepare to fight." The room fell silent. Someone finally asked, "What does the human think?" Meanwhile, Jack returned to the workshop. He began secretly working on a plan, opening old maintenance tunnels, disabling cameras, and preparing a transport shuttle on the lower deck. He only had one goal now: to get Rhea off the station before it was too late. But time was running out. Back in her cell, Rhea stood in silence. Her body was still, but her mind raced. No one had ever spoken to her with kindness before Jack. No one had asked her how she felt. No one had given her a name. She had no family, no planet, no history that belonged to her. But now she had something else. Hope, a strange word. It's a human word, but she liked it. Late that night, Jack returned to cell 9 one last time. He stood in front of her, this time without fear. "Tomorrow," he whispered, "we run." Rhea nodded once. "I'm ready." The stars outside Argon 6 looked calm. Danger moved behind them. Dozens of black enemy ships, silent and cold, waited at the edge of the system. They were not here to talk. They were here to erase Rio, what they had once created. And now, feared inside the station, tension grew like a storm. Commander Rusk stood in the control room, his arms crossed, his face like stone. Behind him, the crew worked with quiet fear. Every screen showed the enemy fleet slowly getting closer. "They're not responding to calls," one officer reported. "Any sign of weapons charging?" Rusk asked. "Not yet," the officer replied. "But they're getting into attack range." Rusk's jaw tightened. "We have 12 hours?" Jack Halden didn't have 12 hours. He had only one plan, and it had to work. In a small supply room on Deck 3, he laid out tools, wires, a station map, and a portable terminal. His hands moved fast. His heart beat faster. He had already disabled the hallway cameras near Cell 9. He had reprogrammed a side door to unlock with a manual code. And now, he was preparing a route to the emergency shuttle bay. If he failed, he would be arrested or worse. But if he waited too long, Rhea would be taken. Or killed. He couldn't let that happen. Rhea sat inside her glass cell, watching the small digital clock on the wall. She knew time was important now. She could feel the station's heartbeat change: more footsteps, more weapons, more fear. She thought about Jack, the only one who had spoken to her with kindness, the only one who had looked at her and seen something human. And he had promised, "I'll get you out." She believed him. She closed her eyes and repeated the word he gave her. Rhea. That was her name now, not 7K, not a unit, not a weapon. Rhea. At midnight, Jack moved, wearing a simple engineer's uniform. He walked through the quiet halls, toolbox in hand, past 2 guards near Corridor C. They didn't stop him, just another tech doing late work. He entered the old side hall. The door to Cell 9 was just ahead. He punched in the code he had programmed earlier. Beep! Click. The door opened with a soft hiss. Jack stepped inside. Rhea stood up. "I'm here," whispered. "Let's go." Looked at him. Silent and strong. "I'm ready." Jack pulled out a small device from his pocket and placed it on the security panel. The energy barrier that kept her locked inside dropped with a buzz. For the first time, Rhea stepped out of her cell. She stood tall, almost 2 meters high, her armored skin shining in the soft light. But there was no danger in her movement. Only calm purpose. Jack stared at her. He had seen her many times behind the glass. But now, standing face to face, he felt something new. Not fear, respect. "Stay close," he said. Rhea nodded. They moved quickly through back halls and maintenance tunnels. Jack had memorized every turn. The path was risky, but it avoided cameras and main guard posts. But halfway through, a red light blinked above a door. "Security scan," Jack muttered. "Didn't expect that here." Tried to bypass it, but the panel buzzed with error. Messages. Behind them, footsteps echoed. "Someone's coming," Jack whispered. Rhea stepped forward. "Let me." She placed her hand on the panel. A hum passed through her skin. Her circuits glowed softly. The door clicked open. Jack stared. "How did you—" "I was made for systems," she said. "I speak machine." They moved through. In the control room, Commander Rusk got a silent alert. "Cell 9 is open," one officer said. "What?" Rusk stood up. He tapped the screen. "Who was the last person seen near the cell?" "Jack Halden." Rusk's face darkened. "Right. Them. Now." Jack and Rhea reached the shuttle bay. The room was quiet. Only one small ship stood ready, a short-range emergency shuttle, just enough to escape the station. Jack opened the door. "This is it. We fly out, then head to the asteroid field. Our scanners can follow us there." Rhea nodded, stepping inside, but just then alarms blared. "Warning, unauthorized access detected." The hangar doors locked. Metal bars slid down. Over the exit, security lights turned red. "We're trapped," Jack said. The main door behind them opened. 4 guards entered, rifles raised. "Freeze." Jack stood in front of Rhea. "Wait." She didn't hurt anyone. The lead guard shouted, "Step away from the creature." But Rhea stepped forward, calm and slow. She raised her hands, showing peace. "I am not your enemy," she said. One guard hesitated. What? Jack moved between them. "She just wants to live. She's not a weapon anymore." The guards looked unsure, but suddenly Commander Rusk entered the room. His voice was cold. "Enough." He aimed his own weapon at Rhea. "You let her out," he said to Jack. "You betrayed the station." "I saved a life," Jack replied. "You call her a beast. But she's more human than some of us." Rusk didn't flinch. "She's a threat, and now the enemy fleet is on its way. You've made it worse." Rhea stepped beside Jack. "I did not choose to be made that, but I choose not to destroy life." Rusk paused. For the first time, he looked into her eyes not like a commander, but like a man. He saw no rage there, no madness, only peace, and something else, dignity. Before he could respond, the control panel beeped loudly. The fleet had moved 1. Ship broke formation, coming straight for the station. "They've launched a strike," someone shouted over the comm. Jack looked at Rhea. "We have to go." "Now." Rusk hesitated. Then, without a word, he walked to the control terminal. He unlocked the shuttle bay door. "Go," he said. "Before I change my mind." Jack's eyes widened. "You're letting us go?" "I don't know what she is," Rusk said, "but I trust what I see in your eyes." Rhea nodded. "Thank you." The shuttle engines roared to life as the ship launched into space. The station behind them shrank into the dark. Ahead of them, the stars, the unknown. But Jack wasn't afraid. Beside him sat someone who had once been called a beast. Now, she was something more, a friend. The small shuttle shook as it moved fast through the empty space beyond the station. Outside the windows, the stars stretched wide and endless, cold and distant. Jack sat in the pilot's seat, his hands steady but his heart racing. Beside him, Rhea watched silently, her glowing eyes reflecting the distant stars. The soft hum of the engines filled the cabin, but neither spoke. They had escaped Argon 6, but danger still followed. "Do you know where we are going?" Rhea finally asked, her voice low and quiet. Jack nodded to the asteroid field nearby. "It's full of rocks and shadows. No scanners work well there. We can hide." Rhea's eyes softened. "Hide. Good." Jack smiled. "We'll be safe there, at least for now." But he knew safety was only the beginning. The shuttle's sensors beeped softly. A message flashed on the screen. Pursuit detected. Unknown ships closing in. Jack's fingers flew over the controls. They found us. Rhea stood. Her movements were smooth and calm. "I will help." Jack looked at her. "How?" She touched a panel near the cockpit. Lights blinked on the screen as she connected to the ship's system. Suddenly, the shuttle turned sharply, faster than Jack expected. It dodged a beam of light that passed dangerously close. Jack grinned. "You're better at this than me." "Rhea's." The voice was soft. "I am made for many things." The enemy ships closed in, black shadows against the stars. But the shuttle slipped through asteroid rocks, weaving and turning. Jack followed Rhea's guidance. Together, they moved like a dance through the dangerous field. The enemy fired again, but their shots hit only stone. "Keep going," Jack urged. Almost there. After tense minutes, the shuttle reached a hidden cave inside a giant asteroid. Jack carefully steered inside, and the ship's engines hummed lower. They were safe. For now, Jack turned off the main engines and looked at Rhea. "You're incredible," he said. Rhea smiled faintly. "I am not just a weapon." Jack shook his head. "No, you're more than that. You're alive." Inside the shuttle, the quiet was deep. Jack looked at Rhea's face, not like a machine, but like a person. "I want to know more about you," Jack said. Rhea nodded. "Ask." Jack thought for a moment. "What do you remember about your past?" Her eyes darkened. "I was built in a lab, trained for war. I did things I regret." Jack's heart ached for her. "You're not your past." Rhea looked at him. "What is my future?" Jack smiled. "We decide that together." Days passed in the asteroid cave. Jack fixed the shuttle's small damages. Rhea explored the inside, learning about human machines and stories Jack shared. They talked about many things Earth: stars, music, and dreams. One night, Jack played soft piano music from a small device. Rhea closed her eyes and listened. "Is beautiful." Jack nodded. "It's one of the best parts of being human." Rhea smiled. "You teach me." But safety could not last forever. One morning, the shuttle's sensors beeped. Jack opened the screen. Unknown ship approaching. Rhea stood beside him. "They found us again." Jack looked worried, but determined. "We have to prepare." He began checking the shuttle's weapon's small energy pulses. "Only for defense." Rhea studied the control panel. "I will protect us," she said. Jack smiled. "I believe you." An enemy ship arrived. A large black cruiser, silent and strong. The shuttle powered up engines, ready to escape. But the cruiser fired first. Bright beams of energy hit the shuttle's shields. The small ship shook violently. Jack fought to keep control. Rhea moved quickly, tapping buttons and shifting power. The shuttle dodged some beams, but took damage. "We need to get closer to the asteroid," Jack said. "They can't follow inside." Rhea nodded. The chase was tense. The cruiser fired again and again. But the shuttle slipped into the rocky field. Rocks crashed around them. But Rhea guided the ship with perfect skill. The cruiser hesitated at the asteroid's edge. Jack saw his chance. "We're safe for now." Rhea looked at him, eyes bright. "We survived." Jack smiled. Together. Later in the quiet, Jack looked at Rhea. "You've changed me," he said softly. "How?" she asked. Jack paused. "You showed me kindness. You showed me what hope feels like." Rhea reached out her hand. Jack took it. They sat quietly, watching the stars, ready for whatever came next. Inside the hidden asteroid cave, the small shuttle floated in silence. Outside, huge rocks surrounded them like sleeping giants. The enemy ship no longer chased them, it stayed far. Waiting, Jack and Rhea had a moment of peace. It was their first real moment of peace. Jack sat by the front window, staring at the stars. His hands were tired, his mind full. Beside him, Rhea stood quietly, watching too. She didn't speak much, but her presence was calming, strong, steady, like the stars themselves. "Do you miss Earth?" Rhea asked softly. Jack turned. "Every day," smiled a little. "I miss the sky. Rain, the sound of people talking, even traffic." Rhea tilted her head. "I've only known metal and war." Jack nodded. "Maybe now you'll know something better." She looked at him. "'Cause of you. They used the time to fix the shuttle." Jack repaired the damaged engines. Rhea worked beside him, learning how tools worked, asking quiet questions. One day, she connected a wire faster than Jack. He laughed. "You're a fast learner." "I remember everything," she replied. "You're more than just memory," Jack said. "You have a heart." She looked at him. "Not a real heart." He gently touched his chest. "This heart isn't just a machine. It means feelings. You have that?" For the first time, Rhea looked unsure. "Feelings are strange." Jack smiled. "That's what makes them beautiful." In the days that followed, they shared more stories. Jack told her about Earth, oceans wide, blue and endless. He showed her pictures from his small data tablet. Green forests, tall mountains, birds flying in orange skies. Rhea stared in silence. "So much color?" "You'd love it," Jack said. "Maybe one day we'll go there." She turned to him. "Do you believe?" "I would be accepted." Jack didn't answer right away. Then he said, "Some people will fear you, that's the truth, but others will see you like I do." She asked softly, "And how do you see me?" Jack looked at her carefully. "You were called a beast, but I see someone brave, someone kind, someone learning to live." Rhea lowered her eyes. Then Jack added, "And yes, someone beautiful." Silence after that was not awkward. It was warm. They sat side by side for hours, saying nothing, watching the stars move slowly across the black sky. On the fourth day in hiding, a signal came through the shuttle's old receiver. It was weak, but clear. "To any vessel receiving, this is Earth Station Nova Reach. Respond if you are human or allied." Jack jumped up. A human signal. Rhea stood. "You should answer." He opened the channel. "This is Jack Halden, engineer, escaped from Argon 6. "I'm not alone, you have someone with me." "Confirmed," the voice replied. "We received reports. You have the one they're hunting." Jack's chest tightened. "She has a name. Her name is Rhea." There was a pause. Then the voice spoke again. "You are not in trouble, Jack. In fact, Earth Command wants to talk to you." Her. 3 hours later, a peaceful Earth ship arrived. It was smaller than the enemy cruiser, but friendly, with soft lights and open channels. Jack and Rhea boarded carefully. Inside, human officers looked at them with surprise but not hate. One older officer, Captain Lane, stepped forward. He looked at Rhea with calm eyes. "You are the one they called Varelli." Rhea nodded slowly. "That was my number. I no longer accept it." Jack spoke. "Her name is Rhea now." Captain Lane looked at Jack, then back at her. "Welcome aboard, Rhea." They were given a room on the ship. Clean, warm, safe. Rhea had never seen soft lights before, or beds, or windows that weren't made of prison glass. She touched everything gently, like it might break. Jack watched her with a smile. "You're free now," he said. Rhea whispered, "It feels strange." "Strange is okay," Jack replied. "It means you're alive." That night, Captain Lane invited them to a small meeting. "We've studied her kind for years," the captain said. "We believed they couldn't change. But then, We saw the footage from Argon 6. Jack leaned forward. You saw her speak? Lane nodded. We saw her choose not to fight. We saw her protect. Rhea sat quietly. I was made for war, she said, but I don't want to be that anymore. Lane looked at her. What do you want to be? Rhea hesitated, then said someone who helps, someone who learns, someone who feels. Lane smiled. Maybe Earth is ready for you.
News
of Rhea spread fast. Across human space, people began asking questions. Is the creature real? Is it true she escaped with a human? Can something built for war learn to care? Jack didn't answer those questions, but his presence beside her. Every time they were seen spoke louder than words. He never left her side. Not because he had to, but because he wanted to. One morning, as they neared a human colony, Rhea stood by the large window. The planet below was green and gold. Rivers glowed in the sunlight. She stared in wonder. Jack walked up behind her. Your new world, he said. Rhea whispered, It's beautiful. Jack smiled. Like you. She turned. This time, she smiled back, not because she was told to, but because she felt it. Rhea stood quietly on the balcony of the Earth Colony Station, watching the rising sun. It was her first sunrise. Golden light spread across green hills and silver lakes. The wind moved the tall grass like a soft wave. Birds flew past the sky window, singing songs she had never heard before. This was not a battlefield. It was peace. And yet, war was coming again. Inside the command center, Captain Lane spoke with Jack in a low voice. They're back, the captain said. The enemy ships that built her. They've entered human space. Jack's heart dropped. How many? 5 large cruisers? They sent a message. Hand over the unit or face destruction. Jack clenched his fists. She's not a unit. Her name is Rhea. Lane nodded. I know. But they don't care what we call her. They want her erased. Jack took a deep breath. We're not giving her up. Double quotes. Captain Lane placed a hand on his shoulder. I wasn't planning to. The people of the colony had already heard stories of the creature who escaped the prison, who spoke kindly, who helped a human instead of hurting him. At first, they stayed away. Watched from a distance, whispered behind doors. But Rhea never acted with anger. She never raised her voice. She walked slowly through the gardens, sometimes asking small children what flowers were called. She studied music, language, and art. People began to notice, and slowly, they changed. A young boy approached her one day in the garden. Are you the robot everyone talks about? He asked. Rhea looked at him gently. I am not a robot. Was made, but I think, and I feel, the boy blinked. Do you like flowers? Rhea knelt beside a small red one. Yes, this one is called hope, right? He smiled. Hope is a feeling. I am learning that, she said softly. News reached Earth. The United Human Council met in a high chamber, large screens showing Rhea's face. Some leaders argued that she was dangerous. Others reminded them of Argon 6, of how she refused to fight, of how she escaped not to destroy, but to live. One council member stood. I say we defend her. Because if someone like her can change, then maybe we can too. As the vote was made, Earth would fight to protect her. In the colony, Rhea sat beside Jack on a bench near the trees. Her body was still armored. Her eyes still glowed, but something inside her had changed. I never thought anyone would protect me, she said quietly. Jack looked at her. You're worth protecting. I was called a beast. Jack smiled. And now you're a symbol. Rhea tilted her head. Of what? Of second chances. The enemy ships arrived in orbit the next day. Black, silent, waiting. They sent a final message, return Unit 7K, or we will take her. Captain Lane stood before a transmission screen. He replied with a steady voice. Her name is Rhea. She is not your property, and Earth stands with her. The enemy ships fired, but Earth was ready. Fighters rose from the colony launch bays. Defense towers lit the skies. Human warships from nearby systems jumped into orbit for the first time. They didn't fight to take land or power or revenge. They fought for someone who had never known kindness until now. Rhea stood in the command center beside Jack and Captain. Lane, the room shook as blasts hit the shields. I can help, Rhea said. You don't have to, Jack replied. But I want to, she said, her voice firm. I will not fight to destroy. I'll fight to protect. Lane nodded. We'll need you in the control grid. Our system can't react fast. Enough to their AI weapons? Rhea moved quickly. Her fingers touched the control panels. Lights flashed as she linked into the defense system. Jack watched her, proud not of her power, but of her choice. Rhea's mind moved fast, faster than any human system. She redirected lasers, guided missiles, predicted enemy paths.
Oh, she didn't.
Destroy ships. Only blocked, disabled, protected. The enemy couldn't understand why wasn't she attacking. Why did she block instead of kill? After 2 long hours, one of the enemy ships broke apart and fled. The others followed. The war was over. Not because the humanity was crushed, but because humanity refused to fear, and because Rhea refused to become what they once made her to be. A week later, Earth broadcast a message to all colonies. Let this be remembered. The one they called a beast is not our enemy. She is our reminder of hope, of change, of the better future we can build together. Rhea sat in the green field again. This time, children played around her. A little girl handed her a flower crown. For your head, she said. Rhea looked surprised. Why? Because you're good, the girl smiled. Rhea looked at Jack. Am I good? She asked. Jack sat beside her and placed the crown on her head. You're more than good, Rhea. You're human in all the ways that matter. Her eyes glowed softly. Then this is what it means to be beautiful. Jack looked at her not as a machine, not as a weapon, but as a soul who had fought to find light inside darkness. Yes, he said. This is what it means. The end.